get better, the hate gets colder. It's not my cup of tea, but hey, my cup is running over. Too much money to be getting, so tell me what's the motive? All of a sudden you tough, you chicken, boneless. Been stop killing tracks, I put my heart in the beat, head on the French yard.
Look out, boxing fans, it's your boy Ashy Knuckles. Chilling up here in my man cave, watching NFL playoffs. Falcons versus the Seahawks. Look like it's straight domination right now. But I wanted to do a real quick video before this week began because on Monday I'm about to be gone. I'm gonna be off in the oil fields. That's why you see me with no facial hair. Can't have no facial hair in this industry because if you got facial hair, it's a possibility. In worst case scenario, if you got a respirator on your hair, on your face, makes it where it's not a secure fit. God forbid there's a chemical release or something like that in the air, that can potentially harm you, or could be fatal. So since it's potentially dangerous, it is best recommended that you shave all your facial hair off. So that's why I'm looking pretty bare right now. But I wanted to talk about the Zab Judah versus Danny Garcia fight. I think it's a pretty good fight. First of all, I think Lucas Matisse is a better fight for Danny Garcia at this juncture, but obviously Golden Boy, the suits of Golden Boy, think that fight with Zab Judah is a better fight for him on the business standpoint because of the recognition that Zab Judah will give you when you're a young guy in this sport. You've seen it years and years and years. When the old guys are on their way out, the young guys kind of benefit from having their name on, under their ledger, on their resume. But the fight still has to play out like that. Danny still has to actually get in the ring and walk it out. And there's nothing guaranteed in the fight. I mean, Zab Judah, even though he's in his 30s, still a dangerous fighter. I watched his whole career. When he was young, he was very good, knocking out everything in his way. Kind of got a little overconfident, thinking that he can walk through anyone. And when he ran into Costa Zoo, he was the first one to unveil that vaunted stanky leg dance, which later appeared in the 2000s. No, but all bull aside, he made a mistake, and you get hit at the end of Costa Zoo's straight right hand. It's night-night. I don't care who on the other side of it, And it just so happens Zab, that wasn't his night. But in this fight, man, skill-wise, he has basically every advantage over Danny Garcia, except for the fact that he's older and he's smaller. Danny's bigger and he's younger. Skill-wise, Zab trumps him in almost every category. He's faster. He has a wider array of boxing skills. He has very good time, and he counters. He's fairly defensive if he's actually prepared for you. If he underestimates you, that's usually when guys get the best of Zab. And he doesn't take a better shot than Danny. If one thing you got to give Danny, besides the power and his youth, is the fact that he can take a good shot and he has great timing. And both of those things can play to his benefit in this fight. For one thing you got to give Zab, since he does have a very good shot, even though I say Danny is stronger, Zab still got dynamite in his fist. If you weren't supposed to be in the ring with this guy, he'll stamp you out of there and make it known. As you see all those knockouts on his ledger, he was known to knock you out of there, get you out of there if you weren't supposed to be in the ring with him. In this fight, I see that I really have a good feeling he's going to touch Danny's chin fairly early and often. But like I said before, Danny takes a good shot. And I think in this fight, it will show us just how good of a shot he can take. Now, we've seen him take shots from Nate Campbell. We also see him take shots from Kendall Holt. Both of those guys are very good punchers in their own right. And so is Zab Judah. So it will also show us how good his chin is in this particular fight, because Zab will get at him early. Now, one thing I give Zab, if he hurts you, you are gone because he is a finisher. And if Danny Garcia is able to withstand the early onslaught, I think it'll benefit him later in the fight as Zab begins to tire and Danny begins to come on late. Um, One thing about Zab too is he gets you hurt. He kind of builds this false sense of security, thinking he can go in for the kill at any point of the fight, and I think that can play in Danny's favor because Danny can give him a look as to thinking that he may be hurt, and once you come in rushing, he time you with that big left hook. And one thing about Danny, he can put you down, he can put you out. But if he doesn't put you down or put you out, he can hurt you real bad to where you have to fight the duration of the fight hurt. That's what happened with Kendall Holt, because Kendall Holt was giving it to him early, but once he got hurt, he fought a good portion of the fight hurt. And Danny was able to secure enough rounds to win the fight. And that can definitely happen in Brooklyn. A lot of people are counting Zab out. Me, I never really been a big Zab Judah fan, but I've always been a fan of his skills. He's a very good fighter. Later on in his career, he kind of abandoned the things that made him very successful early, which was the punches in combination, everything behind the jab, combinations up and down, head and body, the unpredictability coming in at different angles. Once Zab had a certain level of success, he did what a lot of boxer punchers do in their careers. They're willing to abandon their boxing skills looking for that one punch power. When you got power, you don't have to look for power. It's there. Stay to your skills. Stay to your craft. Do what you do what you did that made you successful, and you don't have to worry about getting guys out of there. If it's for you to happen, it's gonna happen. But a lot of guys in the history of the sport have done this. A lot of boxer punchers abandon the skills, looking for that power. I know you want to put on a great performance. You want to put on a magnificent knockout for the fans in attendance and also those who are viewing on TV. But like I said before, if you got power, you don't have to look for power. It's there. Stay to your skills, place your shots, and if the knockout comes, it comes. So we'll just see what happens in this fight. In his last fight with Vernon Paris, it seems that he got back to doing the things that were, made him successful when he was a young fighter. He just went in there and boxed him. He took what Vernon Paris gave him and created openings too with his skills. He didn't really have to set up just one shot at a time. He mixed them up. He gave him a bunch of different looks. He set up combinations up and down. He wasn't just looking for that big counter uppercut, which we have known him to do later in his career when you don't have to. Like I said, he's looking for that big punch. But in that fight with Paris, he wasn't looking for the big punch. He let it come. And if that's the Zab that show up against Danny Garcia, that Zab can win this world championship all over again. But one thing we know about Zab Judah is he's unpredictable. You don't know which Zab is going to show up. And if you're a betting man, you would be a fool to put money on Zab Judah. Because like I said before, you don't know who's going to show up on fight night. And his record of inconsistency would make you hesitant when you're trying to put money on him. A lot of people think of Zab Judah as a guy who's underachiever. I disagree with that, and this is why. When you're a 5-time world champion, that's not underachieving. But that ought to tell you about the level of expectations that people had for this guy coming out of the amateurs. He was a great amateur, one of the best New York has ever seen. But it's the fact that people expected him to be on the level of a Mayweather because of his skill, because of what he did in the amateurs, and because of what he can actually do in the ring. That's what people thought he would do as a professional, and it didn't quite go that way. But the fact remains that he still accomplished a lot more than a lot of guys who were skilled coming out of the amateurs. A lot of guys came out of the amateurs, never won a world title, who was pegged for greatness. And I could start naming names. Panchito Bajado, Ricardo Williams, and the like, never won a world title, and they were pegged for greatness, never won a world title, never beat anybody who can actually submit them in the Hall of Fame or anything of that category. So he's not an underachiever. He just didn't meet the expectations of many. But he can still right that wrong in the Barclays Center against Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia, I mean, he says he can box. We seldomly see him do it. He puts pressure on guys, but not stupid pressure. It's intelligent pressure. He'll cut the ring off. He'll go to your body, take the air out of your tire, especially if you're a mover. He'll bring that moving target to a standstill, find his openings, and knock you out or put you down or both. Like in the fight with Amir Khan, Amir was mixing him up. But once Danny started timing him and he hurt Amir, Amir was never able to weather that onslaught, weather that storm, and get back into the fight. Danny finished him, won the world title. Got his name out there for beating one of the best amateurs in recent history in Amir Khan, and a very good professional as well. Danny does a lot of things well. If he is successful in this fight with Zab, I would like to see him fight a Matisse. I would like to see him fight a Brandon Rios, but we know the suits at Golden Boy and Top Rank are making it highly unlikely for that fight to take place. But we as boxing fans need to stand up and tell them enough with the bullshit, enough with I'm going to take my ball and go home shtick. Make the fight happen. That's what we want to see. We have money. We want to spend it. And if you're not going to make the fights we want to see, we're going to let the empty seats at whatever venue you choose watch the fight instead of us sitting in those seats. Basically, we have our demands. We need to stand up to these guys and let them know, look, we're the guys that put forth the money that you guys make and have a great lifestyle on this money that we spend. And we're not going to be force-fed this bullshit. We don't want to see in-house fights. We want to see promoters get together, make the fights we want to see. And, you know, guys like Top Rank, look, you've been in the game for like 40 years. I doubt that the fans are not going to buy your fights if your fighter loses. Golden Boy, you got Oscar De La Hoya and Hopkins representing the face of that organization. You're not going to lose money if your fighters lose. The fans are behind you because they were behind you as fighters. So of course they're going to back you in your venture as a promoter. You know, the only way we won't support guys that have a name in the sport on the promotional side is if they don't have dates. Because if you don't have dates for the network, how are we going to see your fights if we're not in that particular time where we can buy tickets and watch the fight? So make the fights happen. Let's see it. So I really can't say what's going to happen in the fight with Danny Garcia and Zab Judah. I just hope it's a great fight. Angel Garcia, you know, I've seen him in person, heard him in person, and he does talk a lot of shit. He's fairly entertaining as well. Seemed to really ruffle Zab's feathers. So, like I said, we'll see what Zab shows up on fight night. There's no guarantees in a fight. No one's safe in a fight. And paper, you know, they say on paper this guy's supposed to win, this guy's supposed to win, but paper don't fight. That's just paper. They still got to get in the ring and do it. So, as far as a prediction, I'm probably gonna roll with Swift. I'm gonna have to roll with DSG. He has a bigger upside at this juncture. Like I said, he's younger, stronger, got really good timing. The things he lacks up in boxing skills, he makes up in desire, determination, and will. And I think Zab's going to have some great moments in this fight, but I think he will ultimately be timed and probably knocked out for his troubles. But is the fight winnable for him? Yes. He can most definitely secure this victory, hurt Danny Garcia, knock him out late. If, you know, he can hurt him. And that hasn't been proven yet. Danny has stood up to basically some real good punches in the professional game. But I'm gonna have to roll with the youth. It's a young man's game. This guy has a momentum going. He's on a win streak, undefeated, and I think he's looking for bigger fights in the future, man. And he does have a really stiff jab, but he will abandon that jab, man, and just, you know, sit back and wait for you to come at him. Or, you know, he'll come in with hooks and stuff like that, which is not fundamental, but he's been successful doing it. So I mean, if the guy keep winning, I mean, what are you gonna say about that, you know? So I don't know, man. Y'all tell me what you think. I know a lot of guys are rocking with Zab in this fight, especially after what Angels, said to him, talking about his hat was a Janet Jackson hat. And, that is kind of disrespectful when, you're talking to one of the veterans of the sport and you're going against a guy who's accomplished way more than your son has accomplished thus far. So there was a level of disrespect there, but, it's the fight game. And talking shit is just a part of the game, and you got to be able to stay mentally strong and stick to the game plan and get a job accomplished when the fight happens. You can't let that stuff get to you, man. Because if you can let that get to you, you can let what these writers say about you get to you. You got to stay mentally strong, stay in the fight, go in with the game plan, plans A through D. Work on what you work on in the gym, and don't stop, and don't stop until the last bell of the 12th round, and only then will you stop. You can't lose your head. You got to keep your head. And it's a thinking man's game, but it's also a young man's game. That's why I'm rolling with DSG in this fight. I think he's gonna beat Zab, man. We'll just see what happens, man. I know some of y'all disagree, but if you do, just go ahead and leave it down there and we'll chop it up. You know me, I'm all about being respectful to everybody and everybody's opinion. And I know it's a lot of people that probably just don't disagree, probably just don't agree. So if you don't agree or if you do agree, leave it. Let's chop it up or make a response video. I'm going to add it on. Even if you diss me, I'm going to add it on because I believe in the freedom of speech. You can say what you want to say. I just be appreciative of guys that are just respectful, because I'm respectful of everybody and their opinion. So I'm going to holler back. It's your boy Ash. Deuces. Twos.